A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to today's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Toiwanje Bella, your host for the day. Thank you for joining us. Tonight on the show we are joined by Nico Smit. He is the Treasury General of the Popular Democratic Movement and also the spokesperson of the party in Parliament on issues of economics. And he is here tonight to share with us his perspectives on issues related to the current noises around the issues of public tenders that are being issued by the Namibia Central Procurement Board. Uncle, thank you very much for making time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
Wonderful. What has been your impression so far of these things? You know, everybody's talking about tenders being dished out at extremely astronomical fees, the lowest bidders being ignored, and so forth. Your reading of the situation so far?
Yeah, I think if we look at the procurement board, formerly called the tender board, I think it was one of the big problems we had, especially with the old tender board, when we were looking at tenderpreneurs buying their ways into tenders through the members of the tender board. That is common knowledge.
Yes.
And then we came with a new law to sort of improve the Tender Board Act. It was the Procurement Act. But now it seems to me very much that we are back to square one. Especially if we look at what happened, in the last tender process, where an amount of 2.8 billion was allocated to tenderers. Some like 90 odd people tendered, and the full amount was allocated. And then things started to come out with that things were not done right, and in the process we had more than 20 people who objected against procedures and also to the allocation of tenders to certain companies. Yeah, and then it came to light that some tenderers, were 2-3 times higher than the second highest tender, but got the tender. In one case, an amount of 650 million was given to one company, and the argument was that according to the Procurement Act, that preference must be given to local manufacturers, and it was actually on those grounds that the tender was allocated to this company. So when a proper investigation was done by the newspapers, and I want to thank and congratulate the newspapers for doing a tremendous good job by investigating this issue, and also some radio stations also did quite good research work. It came out that that company was only actually taken over 2 years ago. It was an old company. Actually, it was a CC that was taken over and then transformed into a company. But that's not important. And also, I don't have a problem if a company is 2 years old or not. It's about the content of the company. What experience do you have in the field that you are tendering for? So you might even be a company that's 2 or 3 months old. It's not a problem to me if you bring some value with you, to that company. But then when further investigation took place, it was found that that company is not a manufacturer.
Mm.
It's just a repacking company. Newspaper people went, or journalists went to the property and only found that there's a lot of boxes full of condoms and hand gloves, surgical gloves. The gloves coming from India and the condoms coming from, or the other way, the gloves coming from China and the condoms coming from India. There was no machinery, no nothing to manufacture anything. Now, when the administrator of the tender board, of the procurement board, was confronted with these facts, I couldn't believe my ears and my eyes when I read it and heard it. That he said that no, when they allocated these tenders, no due diligence was done on these companies, because they don't have the sort of the experience and the personnel, and they had a lot of excuses why there were no due diligence done. Now, how can you believe when somebody is submitting a tender, only that's written on paper? Shouldn't the first thing that you have to do is to go and invest and see whether that what the person is claiming to be is the truth and exist? How can you just on face value add, money like 650 million in tenders, and all that he got is just a repacking sort of warehouse. Things coming from there, he repacked it here, and if you make a very simple calculation, and it's true, I made it and many other people made it, those calculations, to pay $148 for a condom, what does it tell you?
Yeah.
And also, this is not the only tender that company or the owner of that company got. He also got shares in some other companies that got tenders. It is even this morning in the newspaper that person also have shares in some other company that also got huge tenders, huge amount, something like 141 million, Also being apparently a briefcase company, only employing 2 or 3 people. Now, the problem is, if this is the way we are going, is it fair to our people out there, that 1 or 2 people are making millions, if not billions, through this way?
Yeah.
I supported 100% that tenders must be given to Namibians. To Namibians, the money must stay in the company. I also therefore have a serious issue, and I've said it many times in public, with these, and I want to say it, with these South African chain shops here in the company, in the country. 80-90% of our people are buying our groceries at those and furniture at those chain shops. They don't even invest in this country in the form of putting up their own buildings. They are just renting. They are just renting. And if you look at who is working there, the senior personnel are not Namibians. It's only those young girls at the tills and those packing the shelves. Those are Namibians. That's getting peanuts. And the earnings of today are being banked tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. And by 5 minutes past 9, that money is in South Africa. It doesn't stay here. I'm very, very much against this. Our money must stay in the country. It must go to our people. Our people must use their money to develop themselves, to improve their quality of lives, and everything that goes with it. So I'm not against those people, but I'm against that one person by submitting false information,
Yeah.
getting tenders on grounds of that false information. I think it's wrong,
Yeah.
and it's very wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There were calls for the president to intervene and cancel these tenders. The presidency responded late last week saying that they do not have the legal authority to do something like that. And some people actually insist that there ought to be a way in which the president can cancel these things. He could instruct the Minister of Finance, who is his direct appointee and who has the direct influence on the tender board to do things differently. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with what you are saying, that the president do have, in the first place, a responsibility to see that things doesn't happen. Whether he has the legal power or not, that's not the issue. He is the overseer. He is the leader of government. It's his responsibility as president to see and to stop things like that. Like he did with the case of the airport. Now, he argues they had the legal power. But even if he didn't have the legal power there, it was still his responsibility to stop that, to stop that tender. Now, I think all of us don't know exactly where we're standing with this issue of the tenders. Because it was in the news yesterday that the Politburo of SWAPO had a meeting where they decided to first wait for a proper investigation into the whole issue before they pronounce themselves on the way forward. So it says to me that the thing, if that is true, that the thing is still hanging in the air. The tenders were not allocated yet. Now, what is also worrisome to me is that the Minister of Health, Dr. Shangula, also jumped onto the bandwagon and defend the procurement board, their actions, by saying that, yeah, it will be a disaster if the tenders are not being allocated and they don't get the stuff that were tendered for. Now, I can't believe that for a moment. How do you do your planning? Don't you buy enough medicine, for at least 1 year, to make sure that you have enough stock for 1 year? And then, as you maybe approach half of that year, then you buy new medicine. So I can't believe, and he's saying that the whole process, if it must be done over, will take 5 months, and what. I'm sure they should have enough medicine and all those things that they need. Look at the condoms. If you look at the tenders that were allocated for condoms, we are sitting with about, I think, with maybe 3 million condoms, gloves, surgical gloves, also millions of them. Why are those things so important? Why should we have so much of them? And if you go to a clinic and you look at the medicine, there's no medicine. If you go to the hospitals, there's no medicine, no proper medicine. And the medicine that's there are this low-class medicine, not proper medicine, But the prices that we are paying is for the best medicine in the world, which those tenderpreneurs are tendering for. But what we are getting is just low-class medicine. Now, to me, the president on your thing do have the right to give instructions to the Minister of Finance. It is also very strange to me that the Minister of Finance is so silent on this whole issue. And the Minister of Health is actually the spokesperson now. During the week, the Minister of Finance was saying that in future, procurement will be done locally and in regions. And that I support 100%. But why waking up only now? Now that things are coming to the fore, now that things are being exposed,
So
now
then-
all of a sudden we have good ideas.
yeah,
all of a sudden.
I'll stop you at the ankle for a small break, but we'll continue with Nico Smit after the break. We continue the conversation on the evening review. Uncle Nico, you were talking about the ministry, or the Ministry of Finance. Okay, fine. This recording is taking place on Friday, but on Friday the Minister of Finance was expected to address this matter, to call a press conference. As we are recording this, we don't know what he had said. But I mean, what should happen now? Because there's so much talking now. SWAPO saying, the Appellate Bureau saying, you know, we are waiting for investigations. The President saying, no, I don't have the power. We're just talking. But time is going. People need medicines. People are concerned about the integrity of that process. What must happen?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think it will be the most difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
To get the necessary medicine on very short notice.
Yeah.
You know, it will be very, 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 very easy. The whole process has been tainted. I think the nation, and if you read on social media, if you read on the SMS columns of the newspapers, the articles, the people of Namibia has lost faith in this procurement board. They see them as not be honest. They see them as acting corruptly by allocating tenders to people who doesn't deserve it. And so the whole thing is under suspicion.
Yeah.
So my standpoint is that this tender board, this procurement board must be fired, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
We must get rid of them. And we must get proper people who have good credentials, who are honest and trustworthy to run this process for us. You can't give power in the hands of people, billions of Namibian dollars, billions. And this is the thing that they are doing. If we are sick and tired of this type of thing, I just want to mention a few, just to remind the people out there what is going on in this tender process. Look at the Neckartal Dam. Yeah? That was costing 2 billion at the beginning, was the tender. It ended up by 7 billion. The price, the thing was just loaded and loaded and loaded and loaded, you know? And even the Neckartal Dam, up till today, there was no planning for that dam. What are we going to do with that water? Now we are sitting already for years with a dam overflowing, but that water are not being used. Now for what did we spend 7 billion on if we can't use that water? There was no proper study done before that dam was built. Even today they are still busy. Ask them, ask agriculture, they are still busy planning. If you look at the green schemes, you know, what a disaster was that? It costed us billions of dollars, that green scheme. You know? And look at the Walvis Bay Harbour. Also starting with 3 billion, also ending at 8-9 billion, you know? And go to Walvis Bay Harbour and see what a small part of that harbour are being used. You know? I don't know whenever will we use the full capacity of that harbour. So, and if you also go to the fuel, there's fuel storage in Walvis Bay. I asked the Minister of Mines and Energy. He didn't give me a clear answer. I asked him, does we use the full capacity of that fuel storage? And if we do, how much fuel are in those tanks?
Yeah.
And who is running those tanks? It's not us, the government, that's running those tanks.
Yeah.
Those tanks are being rented out to some other private company.
Yeah. But Uncle Nico, on and I understand you correctly there, but I mean, isn't it also perhaps prudent that we build big infrastructure for future? We are told we have oil discovery now. We would need to use that capacity in the years. Our harbour, obviously we want to attract bigger cargo things. Maybe in terms of those, I don't know. In terms of Nekataldam, the Minister of Agriculture just addressed his staff last week, and he spoke about them having bought 2 farms in the vicinity of Nekatal, now for them to, I suppose, kick off another green scheme there. But I hear you on the green schemes themselves, because there we have dropped the ball. We have regressed. We are told now there are foreigners that have come in, Indians and whatnot. But I mean, I don't know. From a lawmaking point of view, as a lawmaker, the tender board in particular, we were told that this new procurement board will be a game changer. And it looks as if probably it's even worse than the previous tender board, the way it used to be.
That's the thing. You know, Toivu, my point of view is, honestly, and people must prove me wrong, with our natural resources and our small population, we should have been actually one of the richest countries in Africa.
Yeah.
We should not have an unemployment rate of 50%. You know, we should be like Finland, with a 3 or 4%. You will always have unemployment because you have disabled people and what. You will always have that. But we should have had the lowest unemployment figure in Africa.
Yeah.
But we have about the highest. You know, why? Because mismanagement of our money. And who is mismanaging the money? Who is allocating the tenders? It's the tender board. It's the tender board.
Yeah.
Look how we handle our money. Look at the SME saga, SME bank. You know, look at that. How much money did we lose there? And what is coming from it? Now look at the 500 million that was given at the beginning of COVID to the Bank of Namibia. That must be used to help the SMEs, to keep them on their feet. I was shocked to read yesterday in the papers that the governor says only 1.2% of that money has been used. You know? So nothing was done with that money. That 500 million, now they want to spend 80 million. With what are we busy with? You know? We say one thing, but we do another thing. And we are in this situation of having such a high unemployment figure because of bad management, bad governance. That is the problem. Our money are not used for what it is supposed to use. It's used to enrich rich people, to build white elephants. That's not being used. Like you say, they are in the process of buying 2 farms at Nekataldam Dam. Toivel, how long is that dam already standing there? Shouldn't they have done that before they built the dam?
Yeah.
To ensure that they have land, you know, to irrigate once the dam is full or has water. Not 5 years after the dam is full and millions of cubic liters are flown away back to the sea. No, that is bad management, bad governance.
Yeah.
We should do the same with the green schemes. No proper investment. Look there in the Kavango. That green scheme, that one project, that dairy that's standing there, costing 300 million. There was not one cow milked in that dairy. You see? Yeah. Is this how that is why we don't have money. That's why our schools are looking like they look. This is why the SWAPO government hasn't built one hospital in this country because money was used for wrong things. You know, we should have a hospital should have been the first thing that they ought to build in Namibia after independence.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
in not only in Windhoek but in each and every region, because the first and foremost thing that you must see to is that your people are healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy. They can only be healthy if you have enough hospitals and clinics and good medicine.
Yeah.
Secondly, your people must be educated.
Yeah.
Must be educated. First, you can't educate a sick person. You can only educate a healthy person.
Yeah.
So you must have schools. They should have built schools. Tell me how many schools have they built in this country? How many? I don't say add classrooms. Schools.
Yeah.
Schools.
Starting from scratch.
And look at the infrastructure that the SWAPO government inherited.
Yeah.
All the hospitals that we have, apart from the private hospitals, they have inherited them. Look at the state of that infrastructure.
Yeah.
Those buildings are falling apart.
I hear you, Uncle. In the interest of time, we end it there. I hope we see your face on the show more this year. But thank you, Uncle, for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Soyo, for. Yeah, there's so many things that we can talk about. Really,
absolutely,
we need change. Really, especially now with the floods in the north.
Absolutely.
You know, now these things come to the fore.
Yeah.
That we didn't do our work.
I agree. We'll keep engaging you, Honorable Smit. Thank you for your time. That was tonight's show with Member of Parliament Nico Smit. He is with the Popular Democratic Movement. Thank you for watching.